Okay, welcome to Module 9, Social Networking 101. Essentially, today's class, we are going to be covering all the different types of social networking sites that there are. Well, I've got a list here of what we're going to be covering. Might as well pull that up. We're going to be covering marketing tools. We're going to be covering social networking types, media monitoring. We're going to be looking at tags and campaigns. We're going to be looking at Facebook and PageRank, or what they call EdgeRank. Sorry, not PageRank, but EdgeRank. But mostly it's going to be a top-down view of the different types of social networking sites out there that we can market on. It's important to know this because we need to be able to classify them with the sets of features that we want to utilize. For example, there's lots of different sites that use the microblogging feature, or many that use video uploads. So we're going to kind of narrow down the different categories that these fall in. We're going to also look at the different types of tools. We're not going to just look at some tools, but we're going to cover classifying these tools into types, so we understand what is out there and the direction that this technology is heading. So lots of really good stuff in store today. So, okay, moving right along. Social networking types. What types of websites are there out there? Well, first and foremost, the one everybody is familiar with, now at least, the social network. This is Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google. And there's a few others out there, but essentially a social network is a combination. Let me grab my highlighter tool here. It's essentially a combination of all of these. Okay? So when you look at Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google+, I say they're a combination of these, and that's because you can do all of these things on a social network. I can share bookmarks. I can read news. I can share media. I can do microblogging like the Twitter functionality. On Facebook, it's simply called status update. So that's the biggest difference right here between all of these different sites, is if you look at them, we've got all the main features categorized into essentially subcategories under the term social networks, because social networks, a good one like Facebook or LinkedIn or Google+, they support all of these other features. However, that has not stopped websites from being able to successfully specialize in these areas below. So take social bookmarking, for example. We've got Delicious and StumbleUpon. Their entire premise is the exchange of bookmarks. You set up your account, you upload bookmarks to it, people either stumble upon them, which is StumbleUpon's concept. You kind of randomly see stuff on that site. I'm pretty sure there's ways to search it also. I'm not a regular on those, as you can tell. A lot of these things I outsource, so I don't do them myself. But I have an understanding of how they're done, and that's what we're going to cover in this class. Essentially, is what exactly they are. So that's what a social bookmarking site is. It's simply a platform where you can share a bookmark. But they're very, very popular, and they're very big in network marketing, social marketing. All forms of marketing can utilize bookmarking sites in their campaign. And then, of course, social news, Dig and Reddit. Those are both very news-oriented. It's simply the exchange of articles to create a news environment driven socially. Like anybody can post something on Reddit. You don't have to be an article author or work for Reddit or anything like that. These are news sites that are, started by the readers, essentially. And all social networks, of course, have that as well. I can go and I can read news on LinkedIn, on Google Plus, on Facebook. So those are, once again, features of social networks. And then we've got media sharing. Everybody's been on YouTube, or maybe Flickr is a more photo-based media sharing site. Pinterest, same thing, more towards photos and what they call pin boards. So there are, of course, specialty sites that have been successful in that. YouTube is one of my favorites. And then, of course, microblogging. This is the Twitter, essentially. And honestly, there's a few other microblogging sites out there. You can pull up, a Google search and probably find 10 or 20 different sites that claim to be microblogging. Twitter, of course, is the most popular one, so that's what I've put there. But by no means are this list that you're seeing the only ones in that arena. There's lots of different sites that are similar to Twitter. Now, in this class, we're probably going to be focusing only in on the larger ones when we do our lessons. But we will be digging into each area of this. In the intermediate and advanced classes, keep in mind, this is where we're going to literally do a whole video, if not a couple videos, on, marketing in social networks and marketing in bookmarking sites and social news sites and YouTube marketing. All of these areas are going to be their own chain or their own series within the social, media module. So, for those that are watching this that want to learn more and get deeper into this, we will be getting deeper into these subjects, a lot deeper into them as we progress into the more intermediate and advanced levels of classes. So that being said, the last type of site is the blog, comment, and forum. And I kind of group these together because, they're very similar. They're similar, but they're different. You've of course got comments that are typically under an item. So let's say you go to a blog and underneath the blog post, there's a comment area. Well, that's essentially a discussion that's going on. So this category of social network really is, quite honestly, one of the beginnings of social media was the ability to first comment and then, create forums and stuff like that, which forums, honestly, are one of the first interactive pieces of software ever developed, are a bulletin board or a forum. They've been around since the beginning of the web, really. Social media today kind of grew from that. More and more features kept getting added on to the discussion platform until finally you get sites like Facebook and LinkedIn and Google Plus. But at any rate, forums are a great way to market your site. So we're going to be covering forums a lot and going into a lot more detail on forums. So let's take a look. We've got some features and examples of social networks. Some great features, of course, are sharing links. That's where the social bookmarking comes in. Microblogging, or our status update on Facebook or LinkedIn. They're all the same. It's essentially a microblog is what that's doing. Now, it's not changed out as much as you would a Twitter feed, which is why Twitter is so awesome. Is, typically with social networks, that microblogging feature shouldn't be abused as much as you would use it for Twitter, because it is going to post in your timeline. So you want to be careful, not to post every little update about your life. At least that's my suggestion. I've had relatives go onto Facebook and every 10 minutes I'm learning a new item they like to eat. But at any rate, keep it short and sweet. That's something we're going to be learning later on and when we go into more about Facebook. So at any rate, we've got sharing videos, of course, awesome feature, sharing photos, meeting new people, keeping up on the news. So we can see it's kind of got everything. And that's really their goal, is to be the end game, all-inclusive social network. That's this arena here. Then when you break it down into smaller sites, you've got social bookmarking sites. We already covered a little bit on Stumble Upon and Delicious. Those are the links. And we'll provide these in the written documentation as well. But these features, essentially, they store a list of bookmarks. You can search these bookmarks by keywords. You can use the info to obtain information on your competition, believe it or not. A lot of times your competition will be marketing through social bookmarking sites. So it's a great way for you to pull what they're using to draw in business. And then, of course, you can showcase your content. Let's say you've got a great article you just wrote. I highly suggest taking that article and, submitting that article to all the social bookmarking sites. You're not only going to get traffic from the sites, but it helps a little bit in your ranking as well. Don't expect that single strategy to shoot you up to #1 or anything, but every little bit helps. And then, of course, you can establish yourself as an expert. If you are on a regular basis posting excellent content to social bookmarks, then people will follow you on those sites. And when you post something, they'll share it. And, that's a very good long-term strategy to gain some real stability in the search engines, is to be, very up on social bookmarking sites and show yourself and establish yourself as an expert. And then, of course, social news, some obvious advantages are you get very current news. The news is user-driven. And you can also use social news sites to create a buzz around your product. So we're going to be going into a lot more on how to create viral campaigns that involve social news sites. Media sharing, of course. We talked about this a little bit before. YouTube, Flickr, SoundCloud, Vimeo. These are great for sharing videos and photos and displaying your talent and teaching subjects, which is something we're going to be submitting YouTube videos for, is for marketing purposes, to show a lot of our classes and how we teach. And then, of course, excellent for Google and search engine optimization. These things get ranked. When you are doing a lot of media, they get ranked. So we're going to be going into a lot of different tactics on how to use media in your social campaigns. Microblogging, of course, the benefit for microblogging, quick news updates, can share almost anything. Just because it's a little line of text doesn't mean you can't share a link that goes to almost anything or anything online. So that's one of the reasons why Twitter is so powerful, is you can put a link in there. If there was no links supported, it'd be interesting to see how much Twitter would be being used right now. Its primary purpose really is sharing links. So they're, in a way, a part of them is social bookmarking. You just don't get only bookmarking, because not every post has a bookmark in it. But it's got a lot of the characteristics of it. It's where people go to share a new bookmark or a site with other people. So that aspect is very similar to Twitter. So, Twitter may seem simple, but it's extremely powerful, especially when you start getting into tags, hashtags. And we'll talk about the right way to use hashtags a little bit later in this class. So microblogging, share almost anything. Obviously, excellent marketing potential for microblogs because of their versatility. And then you, of course, see these on Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, and many, many other sites have a status update feature that can be used very much like microblogging. Okay, and then forums and commenting. I wanted to touch some more on this. Forums are a great place to nurture community. Meaning if you can, if you're going to be a regular poster and a regular creator of content, if you're going to be creating helpful how-to videos or doing something like that, then you want to get into nurturing a community. You want to get people following you. Even if you're not going to create this stuff and you're just going to supply links to helpful information, you can still do that and nurture your own community by showing your authority and your expertise in that subject. And this class applies to all businesses. I don't care if you're a pet breeder or a financial advisor. If you're taking your expertise in an area and you're working on that as your niche, then forums are going to be an excellent place for you to grow your fan base, because the discussions last forever. Essentially, they keep them on the sites for a long time. And eventually, years from now, if you stay diligent on a forum, you could have several thousand posts and thousands of thumbs up and a lot of people that when you make a post, they're paying attention because 1,000 posts has shown them that you give quality information when you make a post. So it's important to note that in forums, that they're a great way to meet new people, to show your authority, and to learn new things. There's going to be a lot of people there that you learn from. I tell people I went to Google University as my college because, that is one of the ways that I learned a lot of marketing tactics and a lot of techniques for building businesses online, was stuff that I read in forums years ago that still applies. It's just later in time. So, make forums and commenting a part of your campaign. And we're going to go way deep into this because this is a big subject of mine, is forums and commenting. All right, so tool types. Let's take a look at the different types of tools out there. Now, these aren't, I do have some mentioned off to the right of each one. We're not going to necessarily pull every one of these up, though. I really just want to give you an overview of the different categories that you're going to find software fall in regards to social media. And then at the bottom, I have this other social tools category that I'll cover. So the first one, social listening software. This is essentially when you hear the term social monitoring. Now, Google Alerts has a free version out where you can put a keyword in and it'll essentially tell you everything that's happened recently with that keyword, but only across social media, right? But there's much more robust platforms out there that do this a lot better than Google Alerts. One of them is Mention, and I'll go ahead and pull that up just because I already signed up to that and I'm using it. So let me go here to Mention. See if it remembers my username and password. All right, so here's Mention, basically. I'll let this catch up. Okay, so everybody should be able to see this new page on the screen. What social media monitoring software essentially does is it's going to take a profile that you create, which is a set of keywords, basically, and it's going to track every time someone uses that keyword anywhere on the web and display it in a dashboard that's updated like every few minutes. So it allows you to really stay up on what's happening right now online. Imagine trying to do this manually. You'd have to have a million windows open, right? Well, this essentially monitors all these social networks for a certain activity. That activity is based on the keyword that you set up. So you can see here, I have Win University set up as my keyword, and it's got 548 mentions in the past, few days. And some of this is a different keyword that I was testing out, search engine optimization. And so not all of these are from just this keyword. But as people mention it, I can see that someone's talking about this. And this is very powerful, because if we're trying to become an expert in certain keywords and be known for discussing topics related to certain keywords, then we need to know this information so we can go join the conversations. And this is actually, it's a very manual but a very powerful strategy in getting more people to follow you, is to engage in these topics, in these groups that software like this finds, so you can get your name out there. But it starts, of course, with discovering that information, having a tool that helps you discover that information. And that's why social listening or social monitoring software is important. Now, as this class progresses, we're going to be taking a look at a couple different software monitoring solutions. Now, social conversation software. We've covered this before in this class. We went over Hootsuite a little bit earlier in one of our tools classes. And this was a software that I definitely recommended for social media not monitoring, but participating and using your social media accounts. With Hootsuite, you can essentially take one message and send it to 3 different social networks all simultaneously, which is very, very good. Now, social marketing software. This is where we're getting into creating apps for Facebook, Facebook apps, managing assets, managing banners and all these different assets that we may have that we're marketing with, as well as filling in the gaps in some other areas. That's essentially social marketing software. This is definitely something that you want to get into, when you're a mid-sized business, or at least really rocking with your marketing, early on. You may want to jump into social marketing software. And this is also a feature that is often part of multiple areas. So there is some crossover when you look at these tool types. In other words, there's social monitoring that also may have conversational tools built in, and as well as marketing software built in. So some of these do have a little bit of crossover. And then there's, of course, social analytics software. This is one that definitely crosses over into multiple categories, is the ability to analyze the performance of your campaigns using analytics. And, to name one, we've got Google Analytics, of course, can be used to an extent to monitor different campaigns. But there are companies that have specialized specifically into monitoring social media that are worth taking a look at some point in the series. And then there's what's called social influencer software. And this is a very interesting concept in software, because what its purpose is to isolate influencers in certain arenas, in certain keywords, okay? Now, this is a popular feature to be added into social listening software, because if you think about it, why listen if you can't isolate the top influencers in the industry, right? So a lot of the really high-end social monitoring software has tools that allow you to see the influencers for those keywords also. In other words, who started the conversation that went so viral, right? Think about how powerful that is. If you can isolate the people that are starting conversations that end up hot topics online, and you can monitor that person, then you can know where and when to get involved in hot conversations in order to reach a lot of people with just one post, right? So, and then of course there's the benefits of possibly doing joint ventures with some of these individuals. You know, maybe you find an influencer that can help you promote your product and you give them a cut. So there's some really powerful things that you can do with social influencer software. And then some other tools that we will be covering in the social networking class weren't necessarily designed for social media, but work well with it. And these are, you know, CRMs and you know, little side tools that we're going to be covering in the class that don't necessarily fall under one of these categories. A good example is a URL shortener, you know, and I've got a list here of my recommended, well, not recommended, but these are what we're going to start the class with when we go deeper into social media social media marketing, is we're going to go deep into using some of these tools here. We're going to be going into social media monitoring. We're going to be doing lots of content discovery. And this is a very big aspect of social media monitoring, is discovering popular content that's posted online so we can repost it. I mean, think about it. If something is going viral, why not repost that viral item on your own social network page, like your own Facebook page? If you know it's going viral, then it will go viral also on your page. This is why when you pull up something on YouTube that's really popular, there's 6 or 7 copies of it usually, and it's a whole bunch of people trying to get in on the viral explosion is what's happening there. So finding great content that's going viral and reposting it on your page, very, very popular, very awesome strategy, especially if it's got videos or images in it. So essentially we want to be able to discover that content. So we're going to be going very much into different content discovery tools. URL shortening, this is one thing that you need to be doing, and even starting now you need to be doing this, is go to Google URL shortener. Okay, and this works real easy. Okay, you literally paste in your big long URL. So maybe this is our big long URL. Paste that in and just hit shorten, and then what is that last letter? I think that's it. Unless I'm going blind. Prove you're not a robot. You got to love those. Word verification characters didn't match. All right. Let's do a different one. Boy, they sure aren't giving me anything that I can understand. CHRC. You know, at any rate, I'm not going to sit here and try to do their verification all night. It turns it into a shorter URL. There's a ton of services that do this. URL shortener. If you just go URL shortener, there's a ton of them. There's bit.ly is probably one of the most popular URL shorteners, and they're not going to require CAPTCHA. Shorten. And there we go. So this URL here is my new URL. So if I go here, Control C to copy that, okay, if I paste that little tiny URL in, it's going to take me to my back end, the URL that I shortened, right? And the reason that this is important is so people can't see that you are an affiliate for a product. They're clicking on a shortened URL that hides all of your affiliate code and your affiliate name and your ID number and all that stuff. So that's a big popular reason why people use URL shorteners for certain things. And sometimes it's just easier. You know, if you're doing mobile marketing, you're going to want to shorten your URL before you create maybe a QR code out of it. So we'll be covering some of that in the mobile marketing class that's coming up, I think next week, actually. But anyway, we've also got post managers. This is kind of the Hootsuite category where we're able to post to multiple things simultaneously. We're going to be getting a lot into those. We're going to be getting a lot into Twitter follower management. This, to me, is a big one, especially for local marketing. You're going to want to, be getting Twitter followers that are in your local area. Obviously, that helps a lot more and looks a lot more realistic than, being a oil change company with 10,000 Twitter followers from France. That wouldn't do anything for you. So we're going to be talking a lot about that as well. And it looks like I got a question coming in. If you use the shortener, can you use the shortened URL multiple times, or is it only good for one use? No, you can use it all over the web, Maria. That URL is essentially going to redirect from that shortened version to the new version forever, because what happens is bit.ly saves this shortened URL on their server forever. So anytime someone goes there, they're going to redirect to here until you delete it. And, by signing up to an account, you can log in to see all your shortened links, and you can modify them. You can do whatever you want to them at that point. So they're a great thing to use in more than just social media. That's why I have that extra category for tools, because there's a lot of things that weren't developed for social media but work very well in managing it. So URL shorteners is one of those things that you'll want to use as you market. And then, of course, campaign managers. This is where we're monitoring our social media campaigns as well as our Twitter campaigns. So we want to take a look at these as well in this episode and really get into tracking and monitoring our social media marketing efforts. Now, one way we can do this, and this is something I wanted to cover in this class, is through the use of what's it called? Hashtags. Okay. Let me get to the hashtags page. Here we go. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit. So hashtags, these are essentially a pound sign in front of a word. Okay. So if you look at this example down below, right here, it's probably hard to see that red, but you guys can see it. Pound or hashtag SXSW 2014 Music Festival. That is the proper use of a hashtag. And so for those that are watching this that have never really understood what hashtags are, here's what they do in short, is they allow you to essentially tag a post with a keyword that can then be searched so you can isolate all the posts that are referring to that original post that created the hashtag. Okay, so it's in a way, it's a way of tracking the conversation online. So someone can just go type in pound and the keyword and pull up a whole list of all of the conversations that have resulted of that tag, that are the result of that tag, basically. So obviously you want to keep it somewhat unique, right? You don't want to put, hashtag yum yum, because you know someone else has done that, okay? Someone else has probably used yum yum already, or whatever, easy keyword you use. You just don't want to use really basic stuff. Like I did an example earlier with with a site that I think I took it out of this presentation. No, I didn't. Here it is right here. Tagboard. It'll track your hashtags essentially. And so you can put a hashtag in, which I used affiliate marketing for my hashtag. Well, the result was huge, of course, because a ton of people have used affiliate marketing as a hashtag. And that's okay to use that. And you can use multiple hashtags with a post. You just want to make sure that if you're doing a campaign, that tag is unique. You can, however, associate a post with lots of keywords that you want that post to be found for. So in a way, it's like search engine optimizing our post. And that's a very important part of hashtags as well. But, thinking of that, you want to stay away from abusing this. I see people all the time, namely celebrities, that are hashtagging everything. And it's ridiculous. I mean, come on. You're trying to market yourself in every keyword known to man. So at any rate, we're going to be covering how to use this from a marketing standpoint. Now, let's jump back one screen to understanding our goals. So, now that we kind of got a grip on our software, we understand the different types of social media sites that are out there, we can kind of put together a game plan. And this is what I'm going to be showing you guys how to do in the intermediate class, is really going over this process, the process of first and foremost discovering new content that we feel is worthy to be on our site. Okay, and we're going to use sites that can see the trend for the content, and we're going to be using tools that can really narrow down if it is a hot piece of content, then we want to utilize that momentum that article is already getting, and we want to capitalize on it. So in short, we're going to be helping propel it into being viral, but at the same time benefiting from that. We're going to second monitor the social media, not only the activity from our own posts, but we're going to be monitoring a lot of social activity. 3, we're going to be resharing that content. So first we discover it, we monitor its performance, and then we share it. Now we've got a hot piece of content on our site that should potentially go viral if it's truly a good piece of content. And keep in mind, this doesn't have to be written by us. This is the whole purpose behind sharing, right? Joe Blow could have written the topic and it's exploding all over the internet. Okay, fine, let it explode. Let's ride the wave of success as a result of that piece of content. So we can benefit from this, in other words. And then, of course, managing our discussions, participating in discussions that result from the content that we share. So ultimately, once we share something, we want to get our followers active with engaging with us on that topic. So even if we have to start the conversation off with something, then that's important to do, is to try to get our followers active in discussing those things with us. And then, of course, managing followers and unfollowers. A lot of people are going to follow us. They're just going to discover our page. So we want to follow them back, right? This helps propel Twitter. But then people that unfollow you, I kind of like to keep my Twitter base clean myself. So I like to use tools that help unfollow people that unfollow me. And that's an important thing. Now, I also, while I do all of this, I want to maintain that I'm a professional. So I want to repeat this over and over and over again. And really, this is a very basic strategy for improving your social footprint, but it's a very critical one to understand. Now, obviously, there are ways to automate this. There are ways to schedule a lot of this in advance, and there's ways to expand on this dramatically. But it's important to understand first the basic process that most campaigns go through in order to get more followers. And that is this simple layout here that I've done. So we're going to be doing this in class. I've literally created a new profile on Facebook and a new Twitter and a new Google Plus. So I'm going to be doing this from ground zero, just like everyone else. And, I'm going to be showing you guys what strategies work and which ones have not worked for us. So certain things you'll know are better than others, and we're gonna figure a lot of those out as we go. So anyway, that's class for today. If Rod, I don't know if you have anything else to tell everybody, but that's what I've got for today's class. Actually ending a little bit early. Maybe we'll take some questions. Anybody have any additional questions regarding today's class? Doesn't sound like it, and I think Rod has already left, which is fine. So Randy Walker looks like he's got a question. We'll give him a minute to type it out. You can rewrite it, Maria, but honestly, most people are simply reposting popular content to take advantage of the momentum that piece of content is getting. As a matter of fact, I have complete solutions that their sole purpose is to go out and find content that has been liked or clicked on tens of thousands of times, and to automatically share that on your, on your Facebook wall timeline for your business profile, and that can be done all automatically with some software. Yeah, some of these, and Randy, you're right. Some of these classes kind of lead up to a point. I try not to repeat stuff. And with this particular series, its ultimate goal really is to give an overview of all of the intermediate and advanced classes, but to do it in a way that also helps you understand the basics of these classes, so we can just jump right in and start doing strategies when we get to the intermediate and advanced level. We don't have to tell you what microblogging is, at that point. So that's really the reason for these classes. And you're going to see a lot of changes in how we deliver these. We're actually, because we're going to be getting into the intermediate and advanced series here very soon, we're actually going to make this set of classes is probably going to be attainable for a very low monthly cost to get people interested. This will be much better for you guys as affiliates, because you're still, as founders, you still have the special thing in that you have access to all the intermediate and advanced. That's really the benefit right there in all of Win, is the intermediate and advanced classes. This series, quite honestly, is not the meat and potatoes of Win. This is more like a promotional tool, what we've done so far with this class. And we're going to be using it as such. and allowing you guys to share a lot of these classes to get people interested, because that intermediate and advanced level is where we're going to be walking everyone through a lot of these things step by step, going into using social media monitoring and all these real cool things. The audio is cutting out and you're only getting parts of it. Do you get all the audio in the recording? Yeah, we're actually working on a better solution. As you can see, when you log in, we use GoToMeeting. Well, I'm not real happy with GoToMeeting. So we're probably going to be switching it out for a much more robust platform that Adobe offers called Adobe Connect. And this will also allow us to simultaneously record into screen share recording software that will allow us to actually edit the webinar after we do it. So we'll be able to zoom in on areas, and the audio will be perfect, and areas that you need to see will be blown up on the screen. They'll look a lot better once we switch over to this new webinar delivery platform. So just know we are concerned with that, and we're going to be fixing that, Randy, okay? Okay, now Maria asks, what's the difference between the intermediate and advanced classes and the Saturday classes? Saturday's class is an intermediate class. It's hands-on training for affiliate marketing win, okay? So that's a great class if you're doing win as a business, and that's an ongoing series. It's not a 1 through 12 or a set amount of classes. It's a permanent, ongoing thing that we'll always be doing. But it's kind of intermediate. Maybe some advanced stuff will show up later on, but for right now, it's pretty much intermediate level. And intermediate classes, of course, are where you're going to get the hands-on. Once you've taken this class, right, now you understand the different types of social media. So in the intermediate classes, where we're going to actually go in and use them to market, do tasks each day that are going to help us market through those different channels. So we're going to break them all down in the social media series, but we have to get there first. We've got several other series that are ahead of social media, because you need to build certain parts of your business first before you get to that marketing part. So there will be some intermediate classes that we do before those come up, but those are starting very soon. So just know that. We've been very focused on switching over to the new software, and a lot of the back-end technical aspects of Win have been our focus up until now, but we haven't forgotten about our intermediate classes, and those are going to be coming out real soon. All right, so if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and end the class. Thank you for coming out, everybody. I will have the recording for this up as soon as I can get it converted and encoded and uploaded.